national education policy is a comprehensive framework to guide the development of education in the country. First, the need for this policy was first felt in 1964 when there was a criticism for lacking that the Indian education policy has a poor vision and philosophy for education. So if we understand how these national policies were developed over a period, because after 1947 there were a lot of priorities for the country to give education to the children. I think all of us must also try to understand before we criticize a policy. So in that way, the same year, that is in 1964, a 17-member education commission headed by the UGC chairperson D.S. Kothari was constituted. And now everybody talks about Kothari Commission, Kothari Commission. I think it is better that all people try to read what is Kothari Commission's report. This was, the draft was given and it was coordinated policy in education. Based on the suggestions of this commission, Parliament passed the first education policy in 1968. Then subsequently there was one in 1986. And the present one is the third in row, NEP 2020. When you look at the National Education Policy 20, there are certain principles listed in the policy. I tried to count it. I have come to understand that there are 22 principles on which the policy is going to be implemented. It's a very brief one. I mean, even if you look at the policy, the abridged policy, which has 66 pages for school education, around 32 pages, if you can read that. The first, I would like to say the first principle is recognizing, identifying, and fostering. These are very, very important, and people have to, you don't need to read in between lines of the policy, because many times the critics read the policy in between lines and they try to interpret it. But I would like to, as a person in charge of educational institution, I take the face value of it. If I look at it, recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student. This is very, very important, because children are unique. No two children are similar. If you have, Dr. Malini was saying 1 crore children are out of 2 crore children are out of school system. If you want to bring all these 2 crore children to the education system, they will not be the same children. They will be again putting pressure on us to understand their uniqueness. So the first principle of National Education Policy is talking about recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student. Why we do it, and how we can do it, how we can identify and foster the unique capabilities of children by sensitizing the teachers as well as parents. These two stakeholders are very, very important for us, and we have to sensitize these two group of people to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. This is the first one which I have given my priority to tell you this evening. And the second one is the highest priority to achieving foundational literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3. Dr. Malini touched upon it, and I would like to say even the policy says 85% of the brain development happens before the child reaches 6 years of age. And I also have read some math. 65% of the conceptual understanding is over by the time the child reaches 8 years. If that is the case, we have to really understand every single child and foster the single child. This is given in the National Education Policy. I'm very happy about it. The first one is recognize, identify, and foster the uniqueness. The second one is priority to the foundational literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3. The third one, I'm not going to do all the 22 now, but the first 4, 5 are very important for us to understand if we have to understand what is there for the children in the new education policy 20. The third one is flexibility so that the learners have the ability to choose their learning priorities and programs, and thereby they can choose their own paths in life according to their talents and interests. Now the children are forced either by their own experience nearby or their peers or predominantly by the parents to choose their developmental path. In case if they have to pursue their higher education, most of the time the suggestion, the support is given by the parents. But unfortunately, most of the time, the parents are especially the adults, the coaching centers, the governments, they don't look at the individual uniqueness and the multiple intelligence of every single child. It is a fashion now. In Tamil Nadu, already 2 deaths have happened because these 2 children, they were disappointed about the way in which they performed in NEET exam. And one is luckily not dead, but took poison. These are probably, I don't know, I have not done any study on this, or nobody has also told me, probably these children were not guided and helped to identify their uniqueness, identify their talents, identify their intelligences. If that was done, probably the children can take the right path. So the third one in the national education policy talks about is flexibility, so that the learners have the ability to choose their learning path. This is very important. The fourth one, there is no separation now in the national education policy between arts, science, between curricular, extracurricular, co-curricular, vocational, and academic, etc., etc. This is very, very important. I really love this portion in the national education policy because this will help to eliminate harmful hierarchies among the silos between different areas of learning. People can choose. Dr. Malini was talking about her son, and he's a computer science engineer. But the present system forces him to be only a computer literate, computer genius. But he has other interests also. You can, why not? Probably we can also explore whether he is a musical intelligence and what is his interpersonal relationship. These are the multiple intelligences available. It's not a hard and fast rule that out of 8, 9 multiple intelligences, the children should have only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. They may have, predominantly we can identify which are the areas in which the child can develop. This is very, very important. The fifth one, last one I would like to say, out of this 22, multidisciplinary and holistic education across science, social science, arts, humanities, sports for multidisciplinary world in order to ensure the unity and integrity of knowledge. Knowledge is not fragmented. Knowledge is not separated. Knowledge is not given in a pocket of your brain. Knowledge is cumulative. Knowledge is integrated. So that is how the educational institutions and the parents and the adults should help. In the national education policy, this is covered, very well covered. Multidisciplinary and holistic education across subject, science, social science, arts, humanities, sports, drama, dance, craft, anything the child can do. I can choose while I'm studying my chemistry, I can also do my dance program. Why not? I can also sing. In our school, we have a medium called theater pedagogy. And if the physics teacher has to teach light, use pedagogy, theater pedagogy to explain to the children. So this integration of, not only integration of subjects to learn and integration of subject to study, these are also available in this. When you start doing, what happens? You will be able to identify the multiple intelligences of the children. This is what I want to do. Then there are other things, creativity, critical thinking, encourage children for logical thinking, and all that is, I think I leave it to you to read these 22 items, which are called as principles of national education policy. Now, coming back to this, there are, in my experience, in our teachers, I learned these things from the children first, then my own teachers. They taught me this because I'm basically a child right activist, very rude guy. I mean, only get angry when children are suppressed or something like that, but I have not gone into their intelligences. But all these things I learned through my teachers. They taught me how these intelligences can help. Here, what we do in our school, we use a tool to assess a child from the day one of the child in the school when they joins. I mean, unfortunately, if the children join at 10th, 11th, and it will be a short period for us to assess, but our teachers have tools to assess which is predominant in the child and try to help the child. Sometimes we even move the children from science group to arts group to science group. These are all based on the assessment. The national education policy clearly says that it should be a child-centered education. The child is in the middle, learner-centered education. It is not syllabus-centered. It is not school-centered. It is not teacher-centered. It is not learning environment-centered. It is the child-centered. This is fantastic in the new education policy. If you give the preference to the child, understand the child's learning style, the child's multiple intelligences, the child's levels of learning. Unfortunately, this is slowly changing also through our national education policy. You have 220 days, 25 days in a year for first standard, second standard, for any class for that matter, and you force the children to learn within this 225 days certain things. Your learning outcomes. NCERT gives the learning outcomes. You put all these learning outcomes and you complete your syllabus within that 225 days. You will conduct examination and if the child fails, and 225 days, probably the child was not there for 25 days or 30 days or 40 days. You don't bother about it. You want to complete your syllabus and you have completed the syllabus and you have given a set of list of learning outcomes to you. And look at the learning outcomes, set the questions, give it to the children. You don't bother whether the child can write. Why not child draw and tell you whether the child has acquired the competencies or not? Why not the child dance and tell you? Why are you conducting only the examination in paper and pencil? This is giving way now. The new education policy will change. But now immediately, if the policy clearly mentioned this, there will be a lot of agitation in the country. So now they are slowly, I could read from the policy, understand the policy. Even the assessment pattern is changing. So this year for 10th and 12th, the first semester and the second semester. It is not the coverage of the syllabus, but it is the learning of the child. So continuous and comprehensive assessment is a must, and every teacher has to look at whether the child has learned, acquired the competencies and moved to the next competency. In the National Policy 1986, it was said competency-based teaching and learning. Now it is saying project-based learning, project-based assessment. What does it mean? Multidisciplinary, cross-curricular activities can come. The cross-curricular activity, cross-curricular teaching was also there in the National Curriculum Framework 2005. But now, the National Education Policy, I hope the National Curriculum Framework, the NEES 1 according to the National Education Policy 20, will also cover many other new ideas and thinking to come this. Coming back to the child, the individual child has a learning style and teachers have to look at every single child. I would like to also caution our listeners here. There are a lot of people trying to come inside the school and take the position, take the role of a teacher, and they would like to teach the children. I'm dead against it. In our school, we don't allow. The only one outsider, if I can tell it now, they are not outsiders. They are not. They are with part and parcel of us. That is Pandudas. Because before Lucy ma'am and Nirmala ma'am wanted to convince us, we had a very big discussion. Even Nirmala madam had to come here, and so we have asked this. The reason being, the national education policy says you empower the teacher. Instead of empowering the teacher, don't bring an outsider. Don't bring a coaching group inside. Don't bring somebody who can teach this. Our teachers are to be empowered. If you look at Madagondapalli Model School, in our school, all teachers are empowered. Nirmala madam has very well spoken about digital education. The technical, the technology transformation is changing everything. Upside down it has become. The schools are not opening. Day before yesterday, the Madras High Court has said, you should not compel a child to come to the school. Means what? Children have freedom to learn. If programs like Fun2Das are available, then children can learn. I mean, in which language? And Dr. Malini talked about multilingualism. It is not multilinguistic. It is multilingualism. And when I know a little bit of Kannada also. When I heard this in Kannada, it was really a pleasant one to see. And our children in Vasur, we have Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Urdu, Malayalam, Hindi speaking. A lot of people are living here. And this particular program, we play it and we give it to the parents. You play it at home. You are Hindi speaking at home, you play it. And there are some children who speak at home their mother tongue. It can be Tamil or it can be Malayalam, it can be Hindi, Urdu or anything. But when they come to school, we are forcing them to speak only in English. Why only in English? Why not they speak in their own mother tongue? Like English is a language. Even National Curriculum Framework 2005 says English is a library language. And we are very proud when somebody speaks English, we think that that's a very intelligent person. It is not. Now it is all being changed now. So what is important is now, what is given in the new education policy is, please look at the learning style of the child. The child is auditory learner or a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner. Now they are also saying a numeric learner. Which learner? What type of a learner? And you mark it. Don't fix the type of learner only into this 4. There could be other way of learning also for the child. Explore that. Try to understand that child. This is one. The second one is the multiple intelligence. And say 8. Our Gardner has given 8. Now it is 9. It could be 10. It could be 11. It could be 12. Why not? Why not? Let us explore the child and give the preference to the child and try to understand the child's multiple intelligence and do. This is available in the new education policy. I mean, there are other discussions, especially in Tamil Nadu. There is a huge discussion about national education policy. I don't go about it. Whatever is coming on the way, I would like to pick it for my child. How I can use this for my child. That's it. That's what it is. So I looked at, I'm also a critic of various other things. This national education policy has political dimension, social dimension, religious dimension, spiritual dimension, many things are there. I don't bother about these things. I know the multiple intelligence of my child. My child means every child in the school, and I know the learning style of the child, and we want to help the teachers to understand and do this. In that way, finally, the question was by Lucy ma'am is also how Fun2Das is helping us. Multilingualism. I can learn. In fact, you may not know, I'm playing this. I'm listening to it. I'm trying to accept, because in Bangalore, if I come and speak in Kannada, they ask, are you from Tamil Nadu? But if I go and speak my Kannada in North, in Hospet or in Gulbarga and all that, they say, hey, Chennai Kannada ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. But that is not the right Kannada for me. I know. I picked up from the streets from my vegetable vendor or my housemaid that Kannada. But now with Fundudas program, now I can sharpen my language skills. Why Kannada? My second language in my graduation was Hindi many years ago. I passed my graduation in 1969, but I have completely forgotten. I have no idea how Hindi is being taught. Though my family speaks very good Hindi, I'm very difficult. If I can't even say, can you please close the door to my security? So now Fundudas can help me to learn how to do this, because the stories are very well described. The accent is excellent, and it is a good one. With this, I thank Lucy ma'am for giving this opportunity, and also Diksha ma'am and Nirmala ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Continue to do your good work. We will all come together and help every single child. This is very, very important. We have moved from many other things to knowledge society, and we have to improve the knowledge of the children. Before doing that, we have a huge work to transform the schools, to transform the teachers, to transform the parents, to understand the child's multiple intelligence and learning styles and the levels of learning. Thank you so much.